Now, I do take about 10 minutes. I don't know if anybody, first person in here, did y'all have to wait on a class? Was there a class in here? Okay, well. Huh? Okay. What class is it? Yeah, I'm going to fix it to where this is going to be my classroom. So y'all will be moved to probably another class. Yeah. Did he say something? Okay. I'm waiting on one other email. I'm waiting on one other teacher, the speech teacher. And hopefully all my classes will be in 202 because of this board right here, because nobody uses it. I'm the only one that uses it.
It used to be down the hall in Brown's classroom.
What?
Teaching Miss Brown's classroom.
Who, I used to be in there?
Yeah. You not teaching there?
236. Yeah, that was before we got this board.
Okay.
I was using a video camera at that time. I've been videoing my class for, gosh, three years now. You go to YouTube, I'll just go ahead and show you where the YouTube is. Hold on. Because what I do with these is I put them on YouTube, and that way you can actually pull it up if you miss class or need to go over something. I'll show you how to do that right quick. I show all of my students that. Just pull up Hubert, McClure, and I'll show you the difference between the two. There's two pictures, one with the green shirt and one with the blue shirt. The green shirt is for office hours. Like if you live in BFE, let's say you live in South Iowa instead of North Iowa. Let's say you live down there, which is, a good 35, 40 minutes drive, If you live on the other side, like near Lounsville, late session, and you need it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you need to do number 15 on page whatever, then all you got to do is email it to me, ask my instructor, which I'll go over that Wednesday, and it'll shoot it to me and I'll do it in my office. And it'll look like this, and I can stand here myself. So, and let me I'll go through and do it by steps. And that's what I call virtual office hours. That way you don't have to, come up here and do that like it used to be. So that's what the green shirt is, office hours. So don't click on the green shirt unless you just want to look at office hours, which that would be weird. But anyway, the blue shirt is classes. Click on that and go to, they change this all the time, playlist. Go to playlist. And this is one I did today, spring 2016. It's supposed to be 2017, but I didn't type it. I must have typed 2016. But anyway, I did that today, and there it is. And it didn't record one damn thing. Sorry. Evidently, I didn't. I bet it recorded. Yep, it recorded my voice, nothing else. That's because I didn't click on that desktop. But anyway, they can listen to it. Let me show you one that I did last semester. Okay, like Math 103 last semester, first day. Shut up. And there it is. And it goes through and shows the different, what we're going to do today, basically. Shows the different things for the handouts and all that good stuff. So the reason I do it is if you start acting like a fool, it'll be on tape, in class, which I don't have any problem with that. But if you miss a day, or if you're confused and want to go back and look at something I went over, that's the two main things it's for. Okay, so that's that. So now you know how to find me on YouTube. Okay, I kind of got the cart before the horse there, but that's basically it. All right. Now, the handouts, those of you that check your email, you know about the handouts. Those of you that don't check your email, it's 2017. You need to start checking your email before the first day of class. All right? I don't know you. I don't know if you check your email or not, so don't raise your hand and say I'm talking about you. I'm just saying that there's some students that are still in the Stone Age. All right? Oh, never check my email. Well, don't be surprised if you come in one day and we have a pop quiz or something because you didn't check your email. All right? Start checking your email. If you need to send it to your phone, it's real easy to do. You just hit your phone and you hit exchange. Go to email and hit exchange account and type in exchange@tctc.edu. And it'll ask for your password and all that. You can send it to your phone. I'll get mine. If you send me an email right now, it'll go to my account and it'll go to my phone simultaneously. So that way I don't miss any emails. And it's really kind of beneficial for you as students to do that too. We've called the help desk 646-1779. They'll be glad to help you over the phone do it, but it's not rocket science. I think you type in, for me, I typed in my username, which is McClure@tctc.edu, my password, and then it's asked me for the server, and you type in exchange. I think it's exchange@tctc.edu. And then after that, it said, do you want to do this and that? And you say yes, yes. And then your emails come up on your phone. So it's not that difficult. Anyway, we'll go to my email and pull up my 155. I already got it pulled up right here. I sent this out on the 6th. Oh, I sent one out before that. I think it was called New Class or Hello Class or something like that. Okay. Was that the 6th? I thought it was too. I'm trying to find it. I sent it to myself. Okay, something's not right here. It was sent out right in here. No, I know I did it because I pulled it up this morning.
Yeah, me too.
Hello, classes. There it is. If you have enrolled in one of my classes, you are getting this email. First day of class is blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to go by script here. Here are some things that you should know. I treat everybody the way I want to be treated. I go over everything the first 2 days of class, which means today and Wednesday. Wednesday, I pretty much talk about MyLab Plus. I utilize technology. I'm not a dinosaur. I try not to be a dinosaur. There she is. I screen record my classes, so that way I showed you that. And I am on Rate My Professor, and I try to make class fun, and the best way to reach me is my email or my phone. My email comes to my phone, and my text and my phone. Those are the three best ways to get in touch with me. The worst way to get in touch with me is trying to find me in my office, because it's going to be very hard to find me in my office, although I do have a locator card that gives you an idea of where I'm located. That's why it's called a locator card, and that's for that. Now, I just sent that out. The reason I send this little first email out is to let the students know that you're going to be hearing from me, because I have these hammies that, Hammy the squirrel. I have these hammies that are like, I haven't heard anything from him. Class starts next week. Next week, okay? Class starts next week. I haven't heard anything from him. If I still got him, has class been canceled? I have students that email me 2 weeks before class starts. Okay? I call them hammies, all right? Because they're worried about everything. And I send this out to kind of let the hammies know, okay, you're going to be getting something from me. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I sent you the syllabi. So let's go ahead and look at that. Go away. Go away. Simple. And get that out of the way. I got so much stuff on my thing, I have to get rid of stuff. All right. And then I sent you the Math 155. There it is. And it's got the syllabus. Now the good thing about this syllabus is it's got the outline on it. I don't care about the syllabus because that's for bureaucrats. It's for people in Columbia. Half the people that don't even understand what it says. Here's the most important page of the syllabus right here. So make sure you got one of those notebooks with a plastic outer covering. Take that page right there and put it on the front of your notebook. Or tape it on the inside, or put it on the inside folder, or put it on the outside plastic thing and slide it in there. Because this is what you, as a class, need to go by as far as a calendar. Now, speaking of calendars, Tri-County Tech does not believe that students have the mental aptitude to do this, so I have to tell y'all to do this. And you see those spots right there? I'm supposed to put dates there, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be tied down to a certain date. All right? So I'm supposed to tell y'all how to do this. The class meets for 14 weeks. You have 4 unit tests. So how much time do you think you get for each test? 2.5 weeks. Now you're supposed to take your calendar on your phone or your booklet calendar and count 2.5 weeks from now. That's 1 week, 2 weeks, and a Wednesday. And you're supposed to put whatever date that is, you're supposed to put that for the Unit 1 test, tentatively. So what is that? Thank you. And then you're supposed to go 2.5 weeks from there. So Wednesday to Sunday, then 2 weeks, and whatever day that Monday is, that next Monday, what's that? February the 12th or something? Huh? Look on there and say you put Unit 2. And then Unit 3 would be Monday that week, and then next week, and then Wednesday. You put that day for Unit 3. It's a miracle. I'm supposed to show y'all how to do that. And I'm supposed to put the dates on this. And they fuss at me for not doing it, and I tell them each time, I'm not going to hold their hand to go to the restroom. They're college students. Anyway, there's 4 units. Now, let me tell you what I do in this class. I don't cover this unit right here, Unit 3. The reason I don't cover it is I tell students it's autopilot. Most of you have had pre-algebra or algebra 1 before you took this class because you have to place at least an algebra 1 to take this class. Okay? If you've had pre-algebra and algebra 1, you should be able to do Unit 3. Okay? Unit 3 is not a difficult chapter. The metric system. Okay? I'm not going to go over area, length, and volume with college students. Now, will I help you if you got a question? Yes, I will help you no matter what. I just feel like when I go over Unit 3, I feel like I'm insulting your intelligence. And that's why I don't do it. Now, if you send me questions, I'll spend as much time in class as you want me to spend, but I got to have the questions from you rather than me, you know, say, okay, today we're going to talk about a point. What is a point and what is a line? I just don't think it's necessary. So what I do is about when we get to Unit 2 or Unit 1, I'll do it in Unit 1. I'll go ahead and assign the Unit 3 homework and test. And I'll let y'all work on that on your own. And you can do it tomorrow if you want to, or whenever I assign it. You can work on it, and that's fine. And you can wait till the last week of class. I'll let you do it then. I'm going to open it up till the last day of class, which we'll talk about in a minute. And that way you can work on it whenever you want to. You can send in questions whenever you want to. That's fine. But, I mean, polygons. You know how to find, do you know the difference between a square and a rectangle? You know the difference between a pentagon and a hexagon? I mean, once you look at it in the book one time, I think you'll be able to know that a pentagon means 5 sides. You know, I think you'll be able, octagon, octopus, octagon, 8 sides. So I think there's a lot in there that, and again, perimeter and area, again, that's something in pre-algebra that a lot of students know. So just put beside Unit 3, put autopilot right there, because I'm going to let y'all work on it on your own. And of course, I will do anything to help you with that. Now, another reason I do that is that gives me more time in class to go over the other 3 units. Where do students have the most problems in the other 3 units? So that's why I cover the other 3 units, and I don't cover a lot of Unit 3. Okay, so make that note. We will start, mark through 1.2 and 1.3. We will not cover those. We'll start with 5.1 and go through 5.6. So if you want to go ahead and start looking at something, go ahead and look at Chapter 5. You use those sections. If we cover 5.1 today, which we're not, we're going to start Monday on the math. If I cover 5.1, then probably we'll cover 5.2. The reason for you to have this outline is for 2 reasons: to see what we're going over, and if you miss a day, then you know what to read for the next class. If I finish up 5.6, then you know next time I'm going to cover 10.1. Now, when we get to 10.1, you should be saying to yourself, we're getting ready for what? Test. Do not email me and ask me what we're going over in next class, because I will not reply. Why? You already got it right here. Okay, if I covered 5.2 last week, on Wednesday of last week, then you know I'm going to cover 5.3, and then after that I'm going to cover 5.6. So if you miss Monday after I covered 5.2 on Wednesday, then you know to read 5.3, and for the next class to read 5.6, because you have the outline right there. All right? Again, hold it in your hand. I'm not going to hold your hand. It's right there. And the only thing I don't do anything out of context. The only thing I do is I let you do Unit 3 on your own. That's it. It's everything's in order. Unit 2, we'll go over Chapter 6. Unit 3, you autopilot. Unit 4, I might break Unit 4 up into 2 tests, because when you get into 120 or 103, they're 2 different tests. Unit 1 is statistics. Unit 2 is probability. So I don't want to give you everything. I don't want to give you a whole test and then you go into probability or 103 and have 2 tests. So usually what I do in 155 is break that last one up into 2 tests. That way you'll be used to it when you get into 120 or 103 if you decide to take those later date. Okay, so this is the first most important page. So it needs to go in the front of your notebook to where you see it every day, to where you, if you're absent or whatever, you can look at it and see what's covered next. All right. This page is MyLab Plus. Now, I have worked with, first of all, MyMathLab is what the actual animal or the vehicle that we use is called MyMathLab. But MyMathLab is run by Course Compass. And the difference between MyMathLab and MyLabs Plus is MyMathLab, you enroll into MyMathLab, you enroll in that individually. The difference between MyMathLab and MyLabs Plus is the school enrolls you in MyLabs Plus. That's the only difference. They're both the same animal, okay? Except one doesn't have a collar on it, one does. All right? The MyLabs Plus, the school, when you register for a class, the school dumps your name into, so you're already registered, and all you have to do is put in an access code. Now, mark this down. The most important thing in this class is an access code. Okay? You cannot do anything in this class unless you have an access code. There's 3 ways to get an access code. 1, to buy a brand new book. Okay? The second way is to get an access code from the bookstore. I think there's a $20 difference between the 2. I think. I don't know. The third way is to get it online. Okay, now Wednesday I'm going to cover I'm going to pick one of y'all, and y'all going to register in front of the class, or sit up here and register. We're going to try to get it to work. Most of the time, 98% of the time, it works fine. But when y'all go home, some of y'all could break an anvil with a banana. Okay, some of y'all, I don't know what y'all do at home, but y'all could really screw up things at home. All right. My suggestion to you is do it in the lab downstairs, or do it with me, so that way if something happens, we can address it. Most of the time, the problem with your home computer is your malware or your firmware or whatever, software protector or whatever. Some of those things you have to disable when you do MyLab Plus or MyMathLab. Okay, so just a little bit of foresight for you. If you choose to try to do it at home, make sure that you disable some of your protectors, and they're usually in the bottom right hand corner. You right click on them, disable temporarily or disable, and then do your MyLab Plus, download the can't even think of the name of them now, but the drivers that go on your computer to use, like I think the main one now is Real Player or Shockwave or something like that. Once you download that, everything works fine. And then after you do it, then re-enable your protectors, and that should be it. But like I say, some of y'all, I don't know, y'all go home and y'all get on a computer that was built in 1972, and y'all try to download this stuff on a modem that still goes screesh, screesh, and makes all them noises. And then y'all call me and say, I can't download it. And then that's all you tell me. You don't tell me that you got a computer that came over on the ARC, you know? So try to do it in the lab. It would help. And if you got a question, there's usually a person down there that can help you out. But this worksheet, this handout will also help you. TCTC, MyLabPlus.com, that's the website. I don't use Blackboard. Okay, I'm going to say that like 3 times. I don't use Blackboard. I don't use Blackboard because half the time it's what? It's down. That's why I don't use it. And if you follow this, you should be able to get logged on. There is a 14-day grace period. When you log on, it's going to ask you for an access code. In that same box, if you don't have an access code, there's 2 other options. One is a 14-day trial period, which means you have, for the first 2 weeks of class, you can do homework or whatever you need to do. The other option is that you want the access code, you want to get it online. You click on that, and it'll ask you for your credit card or your debit card, and then you automatically go into the process. There is a book online, okay? That as far as the book in class, you can bring a book, you can share a book, you can borrow a book, you can buy an old book, you can steal a book, whatever you want to. I don't care what you bring to book, what you bring to class. You can actually go online after you register, and you can print off the book by sections, and you don't even have to buy a book at all. Okay? The most important thing for you to have in this class is an access code, because if you don't have an access code, you only got it for 14 days, and after that, you gotta get an access code to get back in your homework. You had a question. What was it?
How much is the access code online?
It's about $20 cheaper than the access code in the bookstore. Does anybody know how much it is in the bookstore?
About $120.
I think so.
I set mine up and did the 14-day, not realizing it was in there.
Okay, it's in your book?
Yes, it's in there, I'm there, but it was $120.
So it'd be about $100 online. Now, if you get it online, like I say, you'll get access to the homework and the test and everything, but you also have an e-book, they call it. An e-book, there's no sense in buying a book if you have it online, because you can print it out if you got a good printer. Now, if your printer came over on the ARC, then you need to use the one downstairs. Okay? That's, some people say, well, really, you don't have to buy a book, and you don't, because it's online. But some people prefer a book that you can actually touch. I was talking to a student a while ago, this morning, and she said she was in a class, and the class don't have a book at all. And she said, I'm going to go crazy. I said, no, not. Go to Amazon, type in the book, get it off Amazon. It's not rocket science, okay? She said, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't have a book. We got to do it online. And I'm like, just go to Amazon, type in the book, go online, find the book, find the title, take that title and that publisher, go to the Amazon, and get a used book off Amazon. It's not a big deal. Because most of the time, if it's on ebook, if it's online, chances are there's a hard copy or a soft, or what do you call it, paperback somewhere the same one. So if you need to do that, that's fine also. But a person can actually take the access code and only the access code, and that's all they need. Because the book is online for everybody that has an access code. All right? I will show you how to do all this Thursday. And if you want to go ahead and try it, the only thing I ask you to do is make sure you have an access code and make sure you go to the lab. If you don't have an access code, then go to the lab anyway, and they'll help you get logged on. And use this sheet. Print this sheet out right here. It's on your email. If you didn't get an email, then you need to check with me, but first check your email first. All right? Because everybody in here, there's no new students in here because everybody was on the roll. That means technically you should have got this email. Unless you've added like Friday or Saturday. Okay? Now, the other email I sent was the email that talks about the handouts. There they are. I sent this out this morning. Okay? And I didn't mean for you to bring it to class. If you printed it out and brought it to class, that's great, but you don't have to. This has got a information sheet about me. Now, a lot of people say, golly, it's conceited. No, that's not the reason I do it. One of the things that I believe in, and I believed in ever since the beginning when I started in 1995, when I first started at Tri-County, one of my beliefs as a teacher and as a student was that the best way for a student to learn is in an environment that is comfortable, okay? Not uncomfortable. Now, what's an uncomfortable environment? Well, let's say a teacher thinks that if you ask a question, he or she gets mad at you and tells you that you're stupid in some little cynical way. That's one way. Let's say that you have a teacher that's an alcoholic and puts everybody in the class in an awkward position every time they call on their name. That's an uncomfortable position. Let's say that you've got a student that's in your classroom that makes an uncomfortable environment by talking too much or by ridiculing anybody that has input in the class. Those are all instances of uncomfortable situations, and I detest those things. I remember when I was a student here at Tri-County, and when I went to Clemson, when I went there would always be a student and sometimes a teacher that would just be a jerk, and it would just ruin it. Have you ever been in a classroom and just one person or one teacher, in other words, the teacher or one person in the classroom, just ruined it for the whole class? I mean, you couldn't even tell a joke because the student was a social misfit and basically would just say the weirdest stuff just because you told a joke. And the rest of the class wouldn't laugh at the joke because they don't want to say nothing because it would get the person stirred up. I used to have a student in class that would do that. You would tell a joke and he would laugh about 15 minutes later and say, oh, I got that joke, and he would talk the whole rest of the class about that one joke. And I've had some socially awkward people in my classes, and they make the class miserable. I even have students that won't come to class because of one student. And there's nothing you can do about a socially awkward student. You can't say, okay, leave the class. Why? Because you're socially awkward. You can't do that. He wasn't disrupting the class. He was just making the class uncomfortable. Teachers can do it and students can do it. Now, why do I? Well, one of the things that makes a class uncomfortable is a teacher that's not approachable. And I had some teachers like that. And those were usually the ones that won't give you their name, that won't give you their phone number, or won't give you an email address. And at the end of the classroom, you walk out and you don't even know who the teacher is. Those are the ones I had to deal with. So when I started teaching, I usually would try to open up a forum with the students by asking them to fill out an index card. Well, I got old and I got tired of doing it, so I quit doing it. And I just talk about different things, and If you ever had, usually psychology class do this, pass out index cards and mix them up and pass them around, and you see that you have something in common with at least one person in the classroom. Have you ever done that little activity? Write down 5 things: your favorite color, your high school, your job, your favorite TV, and your favorite song. Just you pick any 5 things you want to, and pass it around, and you mix them up, and you pass them back out. Hopefully, people didn't get their own thing, and then you have people read out the 5 things, and somebody go, "Oh, I like that TV show," or "That's my favorite color. That's my birthday," and you find out that well, that's what I used to do. And I would think it's very hypocritical to ask somebody to give me their information when I wouldn't give you my information. So that's when I started doing this back a long time ago, since I've started. And it does 2 things. It lets you know a little bit about me, and it also lets you know that I'm very approachable, because a non-approachable teacher wouldn't do this. And it also gives you my information if you need me. And I've already given you that anyway through the emails, but my cell phone and my email address. And that's that little stuff right there. It also lets you know that I'm born and raised here in Anderson, West LA, West Lower Anderson, which is called West Side. And born right out there in the Mackley community. I said Mackley, right? Mackley, not McClure, because I'm going to tell you the story. Because y'all live in communities, and some of you were born and raised in a community. Well, when you're born and raised in a community, like I was, you know things, you know the history about that community. Well, the history is that Henry Mackley, back in the early 19th century, built a 2-story school, and it was called Mackley Scope. And it was on Mountain View Road. If any of you familiar with Mackley's community, it was built then, and he died in the late 50s. He got run over by a buggy, or late 40s, I can't remember. He got run over by a buggy right there at the gym and broke his neck, and he died. And but he pronounced his name Henry Mackley. Well, later on, let's see, my daughter she's in first year of college, so 12 years ago, in 2000, something like that, 2004, 2000, somewhere in there, they built the elementary school out there. If you're familiar with that area, there's a brand new, and it was called Mackley's Elementary School because of the old Mackley School. Well, the transplants came in, the people that didn't grow up in the community, and they said, it's not Mackley's, it's McClure's. And so, even though the people that started the school back in the 19th century, early 1900s, 20th century, and the people that still live in the area, they're Mackley's, and they call themselves Mackley's. We call the school McClure's because the transplants came in and said it's McClure's. So that's the ongoing thing in our community, that people that call it Mackley's are the people that grew up around there. Anyway, to make a long story short, I grew up in this community. This little area right here, for any of you that know, was a little dirt bike track. Nobody owned it really, or somebody owned it, but they lived far away. And people used to ride dirt bikes on this property long time ago. And I used to be one of those people. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in this area. So again, I'm giving you a little bit about myself. And it's kind of nice to have a teacher that gives you a little bit about themselves. Now, as far as me personally, I went west side. I was in Southwood, back when Southwood was a prison. They didn't have any windows. They had the windows covered up, and they had the doors chained. There was only one way in and one way out, and that was through the front door. I don't know how they got by with doing that, with the fire department and everything. But all of them doors used to be chained. I'll never forget it. There was two ways, the side way and the front way, for the teacher's parking lot and through the front door. Any of y'all familiar with Southwood? Did you go there? Did they have windows?
Yeah, they had windows.
Buddy, we didn't have windows. We had louvers over the windows, and those louvers were not those that you open up. They were the solid white louvers that looked like the back louvers of a car. Well, that's that. And the only thing you could see was the dirt right down beside the building. Didn't have any grass, and that's it. You couldn't see like you can now. Now it's a school. It's a nice school now, but they're fixing. No, they made it into art. And when my daughter was there, we went to a play, and I was like, where do those doors go beside the chorus room, beside the stage? I said, where do those doors go? She said, Daddy, those go down to the basketball court, or where it used to be basketball court. I think they put some new basketball court. And I'm like, we never knew that because they were chained up. What about having a school with all the doors chained up? That was rough. But anyway, huh? Yeah, dang old horror movies again. Dang old Freddy. But what'd you say? Yeah, exactly. That's what you think. And there was 2 or 3 sets of doors. Now, you could go down the stairs, like from the first to second floor, but they had those doors chained. On the outside to go out, they had those chained. So if you wanted to go outside, you had to go through the side door through the teacher's parking lot, or you had to go through the front door. Those was chained to go out. Outside the gym, the locker room, that was chained. Unless you went outside with the gym teacher, they would unlock it. It was strange, but West Side wasn't like that. Everybody has. You got elementary school, you got high school, junior high school, middle school, and then you got high school. And one of those was terror for everybody, whether it's the first one, the second one, or the third. Mine was the prison at Southwood. Now, if I went there now, it wouldn't be that way. It was awful. That was my dark school, was Southwood. But that was just because, I don't know, I think it was just so bad that they had to lock the doors because people would come in and leave whenever they wanted to. And I think that's one of the reasons they changed the doors. And as far as I don't ever understood the louvers. I guess they didn't want people daydreaming and looking outside. But that's the only school I've ever been in that didn't have windows that you could see out. Strange. But anyway, that's a little bit about me. I still have flashbacks. No, I'm just kidding. That's about me. If you want to know how to find my office, there's AC 211. I'm hardly ever there. I'll show you when I'm there. That's called my locator card right here. That way you don't ask me what. If you ask me, I'll just look at you and say, I have no idea. I cannot stand. I loathe repeating myself. I cannot stand it. All right? Unless I'm trying to get a point across. And here it is. This tells you when I'm in my office. Okay? Now, what about 2:30? Well, I try to spend all my office hours in the morning. Usually after 2:30 is by appointment. Okay? But I'll be honest with you. Unless a person's totally mathematical dysfunctional, I usually don't have to do office hours because I do my homework and test online. Now, what does that do? It frees up what? Class time. Think about it. If I give you a test and you take the test, that takes up one class period, right? I give you the test back and go over it, that takes up how many? 2 class periods per test. There's 4 tests. So how many class periods that take up? 8 days. What could I be doing during those 8 days? Explain. Now let's take, I love your sweatshirt. I love Carolina. I chase rabbits. Huh? I'm rooting for, okay, let me explain this. I loved, when I was a kid, my dad used to carry soybeans over to Hartwell. And when we carried the soybeans over to Hartwell, he wouldn't let me go back there with all the augers and stuff because he figured I'd fall in and get killed. So he would put me in there with those 2 old ladies in the weight room, not weight room, not working out, but the weighed the trucks, had the scales and everything. And I'd have to sit in there. He'd give me $1, and I'd go in there and get a Coke and a pack of crackers, and I'd sit in there with those 2 old ladies. And in that little office, that office is still there. The place in the Hartwell's gone, but the office is still there. Wall to wall, University of Georgia stuff. Vince Dooley, pictures of Bulldog, pictures of Vince Dooley everywhere. I mean, they had no wallpaper. It was all posters of University of Georgia. So since I was a kid, I loved Georgia. So I love Georgia. I went to Clemson. I got a degree from Clemson. When I was a kid, I liked Clemson, so I liked Clemson. I like South Carolina because this is South Carolina. It's my state school. I like University of South Carolina. I'm not a freaking fanatic if you're asking that. I want Clemson to win. I want the ball players to win because I respect the ball players because I played football. I respect the coaches, but I don't want them to win because of the fans. I've already took myself off Facebook and I'll get back on in about a month. I've got friends that are freaking crazy. They're crazy, and I will say something, and so I've already disabled my Facebook account, and at the end of January or February, I'll open it back up. And hopefully all the crap will go, and then I'll see fights. I'll see arguments.
Yeah, post game.
Yeah. And I'm just, I don't want to see that. So what I do is, first of all, Alabama's going to win because they're a wrecking crew. I mean, they're in the SEC. They're in the toughest division there is. And I think they're going to run all over Clemson just like they did, last night. Because ACC is a weak conference. Just like the Pac-10 is a weak conference. That's why Ohio State wins all the time. That's just my own personal opinion. What do you think?
Well, see, I'm from Alabama.
Okay, well, then forget it then. You're wanting Alabama to win.
Well, see, for me, I lose even if I win.
Yeah. Yes.
The fans around here.
Oh, God. Now, I'm not talking about the guys that say, hey, Clemson won, yay. That's the fan. I'm talking about these people that have a shrine, that worship, that go freaking crazy, that will fight you. I ain't got no use for that.
No, see, when I moved up here, a couple of my friends were asking me, how you going to feel now when the football season starts? I said, look, I'll root for Clemson. I'll root for South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I just, when they're playing, my home team, then.
And then they don't talk to you.
Yeah, and then they get mad at me. I'm like, I just said I would root for your team.
It's not like the election, I kind of still reflect.
Now, I am different about the election because I think the election is very important. I think the election should be the most important thing on people's mind, whether it's a 2012 Senate or whether it's president or whether it's county council, because I think that's important for our country.
That's not football.
Yeah,
And I agree.
football game don't give, it ain't gonna do anything. What's it gonna do? Nothing. It's gonna do something for the players and the coaches. That's it. But I hope Alabama wins for the players, and I hope Clemson wins for the players. But the only reason I'm not pulling for Clemson is because of the fans, the idiots. I'm not the people that like Clemson, the idiots. I got a friend. I got one friend. No, I got some acquaintances. This is no joke. And y'all may know some people like this. They have told me in confidence, and you don't know who they are, so I can tell you I'm not going to say their name. But they owe more than $1 million to people, like first and second mortgage on a home, credit cards, their own business that failed, that kind of thing. And they're paying, how much does it cost to go to them? Yeah, they're paying $3,000, and their kids, they're going, so how much is that, 1,500 times 4? $6,000. And then they got to pay, what, $2,000 or $3,000 to stay in a hotel down there? Now, I want to ask y'all something. Y'all are students. What do y'all think about that? It's stupid.
That's twice my mortgage. The ticket.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's the lunatics. Them people owe $1 million. They have told me several times, I just don't know, I owe 800,000 this, and this is 20,000, this is, and I'm like, and you're going to the Clemson game. Oh yeah, we're going to root for the Tigers. You know what I want to say? You're a freaking idiot.
If you're out of debt and you got a little extra money to spend,
Then what you want?
Yeah. But when you owe that much money, that's not right.
Heck, on my farm, I owe money because my dad died and I took those debts. I couldn't even imagine going to a football game when I owe this mortgage and this mortgage. I mean, I don't mind it because I love the farm and I don't mind paying it. But I can't imagine being fruitless with my money when I owe money. Now, if I owed somebody $50, that'd be different. But this ain't $50. This is the bank and another bank. I mean, my house, I got my house payment, I got the farm payment, and I just don't. Now, taking my kids to the movies or taking them to Six Flags or even taking them to World, that's different. But I just don't understand it. But anyway, I'll shut up. I don't know how I got on that, but you did this. It's your fault. But I like South Carolina. I hope they don't suck next year like they did this year. But I really don't understand why you get a losing coach to coach your team. I don't understand that. He come from where? Where did the guy from South Carolina come from? He came from like Appalachian State or somewhere. I'm just saying that. I don't know exactly where he came from, but they were like 3-11. I'm like, really? Oh, okay, that's what it was. But anyway, that's this, and y'all know if you need, like I say, anything here, this is the best time. But you can also email me or call me and say, Hubert, I got a problem on page number 15. Could I send it to you and you do it on video? Yes, I'll be glad to. But you need to send it to me, and I'll show you how to do that Thursday or Friday or Wednesday. I'll show you how to do that, and it'll come directly to my email, and that way you ain't got to try to send me something via text, okay? And I'll do it on there, and I'll put it on the 155 YouTube page, the list. You 155, I'll make you one today, and it'll be on there for everybody, okay? So that's how we do that. Now, a little bit about my class, and that's called Class Courtesies, right here. And I just go over the first several. I don't go over the whole thing. All right, the number one rule. I treat students what? Exactly. The golden rule, really. I'm fixing to unlock my car. Where is my? I've been teaching, if you count the year that I taught from 1995 to 1996 part-time. So from 1995 is 21 years, going on 22 years, I've been teaching. You know how many people I've thrown out of my class? The socially awkward guy I told you about, I had to just say, listen, you just work at home. I told him, I said, you just work at home. I mean, he came to class one day, it was in the springtime, and it was people wearing shorts and stuff. He went to the tanning bed, and he wore his sunglasses. He had the Terminator sunglasses that wrapped around like a banana clip. He wore them in the tanning bed, and his whole body was red, but he had a white strip going across. This guy was socially awkward. He bought him a brand new pair of pants or blue jeans and a brand new pair of cowboy boots and a brand new shirt. And you could tell because he wore shorts like throughout the week. And then one day he just showed up with cowboy boots and blue jeans and a cowboy hat and those Terminator. I mean, this guy was just weird. Anyway, I have no idea. That was like 1996, 97. This guy was weird. Anyway, I hope he's not in jail or anything. He was one, and then there was a second guy. And if you're familiar with Oconee Hall, my room, my office used to be 215, which is right across from the women's restroom, and on the second floor. Right behind it, I think it's 216, is a classroom. And I had that classroom, and I was teaching a Math 101 at that time. And in the back, there was a guy and a girl that sat beside each other, and he was a jerk. And she was just as sweet as she could be. And she was very attractive, and he was attractive in a non-homosexual way. He was attractive, but he was a jerk. And he had some kind of issue going on. He was very insecure about himself because she would raise her hand to ask a question. And he would say, put your hand down, because I heard him several times. I'll show you. So one day I come in and I was in a bitchy mood, and I don't know, maybe I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever, and she raised her hand. We're going over factoring or something like that,
And she raised her hand and she said, I'll tell you how to do it. Put your hand down. You don't know what he's doing. And I saw red and I said, just get out of class. I don't want to hear your crap anymore. And he said, come on, let's go. And he looked at her and she said, I ain't going nowhere with you. And anyway, it started up a fuss, and I had to say, listen, I'm calling security if you don't get out. And he left, and she didn't leave. And later on, I love to tell the story. Later on, she right now, she works at the U.S. Capitol. She is Duncan, what's his name? Jeff Duncan, one of the senators. One of his aides. And she graduated Clemson. And she said, you know what, after your class, I dumped him, and she said, I would not be where I'm at today if I was with him. She said, I'd be sitting at home, doing nothing but being pregnant and barefoot. That's what she said. And she said, probably being beaten. I said, yes, she probably would have. And she did real good, but I didn't have anything to do with that. But he showed out. That was the second person, 2 guys. The third person was in this, I don't know what classroom it was. It might have been 225 across the hall there. And there was a girl in there, and she just didn't like anybody. And there was nothing I could do to help that. And one day she came to class, and she was on Facebook the whole time. And I was going over a problem, and just as soon as I finished the problem, she said, well, I don't understand the first step. She said, I don't understand why you did that. I said, well, if you hadn't been on Facebook, you would know. And the reason I knew she was on Facebook because I would circle the room and I'd see she was on Facebook on her laptop. And she got mad at me and called me a jerk. I said, just leave. 3 people in 21 years. I think that's a pretty good record. I'm very fair. I'll treat people with respect as long as they treat me with respect. And that leads into number 2 and number 3. I have a cell phone. It's right here. Sometimes I turn it off. It vibrates. Sometimes I don't. If it goes off, no big deal. I just say, I'm sorry, I turn it down. Same thing for you. If yours goes off, people have kids, people have jobs, people have mothers and fathers that need help. My mother is like Granny Clampett on Beverly Hills Hills. And she'll call me, even though I give her a schedule, she'll call me. And if my mother or McClure's calls where my son goes, or if I get a call from my daughter, she's at college in Charleston. If any one of those numbers call, I know something's wrong, and I need to address it. Now, how do I do that? I say, you're going to have to excuse me a minute, and I go out in the hallway and I figure out what's wrong. If I do that, then what do you do if you get an important call? You do the same thing. If your phone goes off, no big deal. I don't go into cardio arrest like some of these other teachers do. They have a cell phone in their pocket. So what I'm trying to say is respect, courtesy. Same thing there with cell phones and texting. If you walk up to me and ask me after class or during class how to do a 5-step question, and you're on step 2, and while you're asking me about step 2, I'm texting somebody. What is that? Rude. Rude. As Mackley Scope said. All right? I can't say it like rude. All right? If that's rude for me to text while you are talking, then what is it when I'm talking and you're texting? It's rude. Now, if I'm up here talking about horror movies, then you can do whatever you want to. When does my talking start? When I start talking about what? Math. When I start talking about math, that's when this goes into effect. When I'm talking about football, talking about horror movies, talking about politics, talking about what happened in the news, that guy shooting airport people, that's not your question up here. That's when I start talking about. Just like you come up here and talk about what you did Saturday night, then I can text, do what I want to, and listen to you at the same time. But when you ask me a math question, that's what you're here for. That's what you're paying me for and Tri-County Tech for. That's when there's a different environment. Just like when I start talking about math, it's a different environment. If I'm outside talking to another teacher and it's 12:45 and I'm out there talking to a teacher, you do what you want. Answer, talk on the phone, you do anything. As soon as I come in, you can still talk on the phone. But when I start talking about the role, when I start talking about math, that's when this goes into effect. Okay? This is not an online class. It is what is considered a hybrid class. Back in 2003, when we started doing hybrid classes, the original hybrid class was to do everything online and to meet 2 days a week or 3 days a week, whichever the case may be, or 4 days a week, whichever how many hours you're supposed to meet. And it was supposed to free up time for the teachers. Well, the administrators got a hold of it and changed the drain. And what they decided was a hybrid course was you only meet 1 day a week, and the other day the students work on the computer. That way we can put another classroom in the class. And it was a way to make more money, okay, or get more money coming in. So the original hybrid class is what I do, and that is teach 100% of the time while you do the homework and the test on your time. And it works very well. They've tried to screw it up, and I try not to let it screw up in my class. They tell me, well, we need to do an in-class test. No, we don't. My way's working fine. I don't have a problem with it. If you can't teach and your class and your tests are bad, that's not my problem. Okay? You need to learn how to teach, or you need to learn how to give tests. Okay? It's kind of like, you know, if somebody can't drive, restrict your driving. No, it doesn't work that way. All right? So I get in trouble a lot because I don't do what I'm told.
One way or the other, the last semester I was here, I had a teacher that started our first test was online.
Mhm.
Well, the grades came back from that, so she did a test in class. And then the test after that was a take-home test. And then the fourth test, she had us work on the part.
What class was that?
That was a sociology class.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Just because a teacher is teaching does not mean they know how to teach. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had a lot of teachers that have credentials out to yin yang that tell you how to go home. I mean, honestly, they couldn't tell you how to do anything. And I know a lot of math teachers like that. There's a lot of math teachers now teaching at Tri-County Tech couldn't tell you how to get out of a wet paper sack. And that's pretty bad, because a wet paper sack, that's pretty easy to get out of. So, but I stay consistent. I get fussed at because I should give tests in class. Well, my class, my students, and I give 2 or 3 attempts. So if a student sucks the first time, they take it again, they get better. By the time they take it a third time, think about it. How many problems do I get on a test? 20 to 25. What's 25 times 3? 75. By the time you do the third test, how many problems have you done? 75. Technically, you've done the homework that you didn't do. And most of the time, people that don't do the homework, they suck at the test. But if you do both of them, if you do the homework and you do 2 or 3 tries on the test if you need it, you've got enough practice to where your confidence is in. And it works. I've got one of the best retention rates on any campus. And I've had it for a while. Not because I give you the answers, I don't give you the answers. Each test is different. There's no test that is the same. You can take a test beside somebody that's taking the exact same test, and it's not going to be the same. The reason is I teach the material. I teach it. And if you are a student that listens, you should get it. You ever meet a student that failed my class? Get away from it. Because either the laziness or the stupid's going to get on it. And usually it's not stupid. Stupid is the inability to learn. Usually, what is it? It's the laziness. They don't want to do the homework, and they blame everybody in the world for it. The Russians, Comey, the FBI director, and then they blame who else? They blame the women. Yeah, everybody. Okay? Huh? Okay, well, it's your fault. It's your fault. If I stump my toe tomorrow, it's your fault. And then if it ain't their fault, it's Bush's fault. Okay? Everything is those 4 things' fault. Okay? So, just, if you do what I tell you, you should make an A in here or a B with no problem. If you have a life, if you have 5 kids running around with 3 dogs and a cat, then yes, that's going to take away. It's going to take away a little bit of your study time. So either you settle with a C or a B, or you find a way to consolidate that time that's being siphoned away from you and get into the closet or the bedroom and study more and get some help with the craziness. It's usually called red wine, Merlot, or one of the two, beer, okay? And you're going to have to compensate. And most everybody makes a C or above in my class. And I don't give it to them, they earn it. Okay? And the rest, attendance. The federal government has really cracked down on the 1% or 1% or 1% of financial aid students that embezzle money. On a campus with 5,000 students, we're talking about one person. But they're cracking down. The federal government is cracking down on this. We don't have anything else in the United States to worry about. But they're cracking down on these financial aid people. So they're making students, they're making teachers and colleges have mandatory placement. No, not mandatory placement, mandatory attendance. So we have to take attendance. So if you Skype in to the class, if you Skype in, and I'll show you how to do that Thursday. Or if you come in across the threshold of that door and then leave, as long as you tell me you're here, give me your name, then you can go do whatever you want to. But you got to cross the threshold of that doorway. You got to tell me, and then you can go do whatever you want to do and pick up the video later. If you got to take your kids to the doctor, or if you got a surgery that you got to go to, or a doctor's appointment that you got to go to. There's no sense in me going, oh well, you're going to fail the class if you miss class. That's ridiculous. This is not a residential campus. Even though some teachers dream of teaching at a residential campus and they're not good enough, or whatever the case may be, this is not a residential campus. People have families, people have jobs, people have doctor's appointments. Okay? So you have to make note of that. So the attendance policy, I can work with you on that, but two things. You have to Skype in, or you have to cross the threshold and then go. Okay? Make sure I got your name. Okay? Questions on that? There are some other things here, but I'm not going to cover them. I'm going to let you read them. Has anybody had me before? I don't think so. I don't recognize anybody's face in here. Have you heard anything? Funny? What kind of funny? I hope it's not the wrong kind. Funny like weird, not the other funny. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about weird. Weird or funny like comedian funny. One of the two. Funny, I don't know. I try to make the classroom comfortable. And I do make fun of people when they hang a sign around their neck that says, please make fun of me. And I'm talking about the people that has their cheeks pierced and their eyeballs pierced and a tattoo on their nose and blue hair. And those people say, please make fun of me. I need the attention. I have tattoos, so it's not I'm criticizing. But when you go to the extreme to get attention, I'm going to give you the attention. I'm going to make fun of you. Okay? So don't come to class with blue hair, all right? If you want to find out about me, go to Rate My Professor. I hope nobody has bashed me too bad on there. But you can look there. You can ask around. None of y'all have had me, so I don't know. You might have to ask somebody else who's had me. But I'm pretty confident in myself and my record. Except for those 3 that I had to throw out, I'm pretty confident. Just don't be rude and be respectful. If you can do that, we won't have any problems. What is the most important thing as far as supplies? MyLab plus what? Access code. The rest is secondary. You can bring whatever you want to in class. I don't care. Bring a big old notebook. Bring just a sheet of paper. Don't come in here with nothing. Don't come in here with just sitting. That's ridiculous. You at least got to bring a notebook and some paper so you can write down something. The only other thing, and this is the second most important page, is this page right here. Things you will be graded on. This goes in the back of your notebook.
The syllabus goes in the front, this goes in the back. Now, you don't have 5-unit test. We'll take that one out so you won't be confused. And it says homework. I will assign homework when I start talking about math. Thursday, I will be going over more logistics and more things with MyLabs Plus. So probably the next week, Monday, I'll start covering math. I'm not worried about it because we're skipping 2 sections in the beginning of Unit 1, so I'm back on target when we start the next week. Ma'am? Okay, then Wednesday. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to go over that too after I go over this. The academic calendar. There's a holiday Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so nobody comes to school, so you don't come to an empty parking lot and look like a DA, walk up to the security guard and ask the DA question, is nobody here today? Nope, everybody got swept up by the monster. Cars and all. Duh. Which one? Oh yeah. Oh God. Listen, y'all come up. It's almost like the horror stories. Y'all. I mean, what was it? Destination. Final Destination.
Yeah.
The first Final Destination, where the girl is in her house and she goes out to save her dog because the wire is coming off the electric pole and going to shock everybody, and the swimming pool busts, and there's water all over the ground. That's what some of y'all come up with on test day. When I used to give in-class tests, everybody would have a flat tire. Huh? 5 flat tires. And grandma would die twice. And you'd have an all-day funeral to go to. I'm serious. So I quit giving in-class tests. But the reason I give 1 week to take the test is so y'all can have y'all's dead grandmothers and 5 flat tires, but still have time to take the test, even though the house blows up and a tornado and a hailstorm and all that happens. I'll give you 2 to 3 chances. Sometimes I give 3 chances. The final exam, I give you 2 chances, but on regular unit, I give you 3 chances. Takes the higher of the 3. This is the DA question I get from y'all about this. If I make a 98 on the first test, do I need to take the second and third try? Do you get a response from me? No. I want you to think about that. I just told you, the MyMathLab, Course Compass, whatever it's called, it takes the higher of the 3 or the higher of the 2. Whatever I give you. If you got 3 attempts, it takes the higher of the 3. If you got 2 attempts, if you got 4 attempts, if you got 5 attempts, it takes the higher of whatever. So if you make a 98 on the first test, a 72 on the second try, and a 36 on the third, then it'll take the 92 or 98, whichever was the first one. Yeah, you did, pretty much, for 2 points. But if you make a 76 on the first one, an 82 on the second one, and a 96 on the third one, it's going to take the 96. Okay? But the DA email I get is if I make 100 on the first test, do I need to take it the second and third time? And I do not reply. If you don't get a reply from me, it means one of 2 things. 1, I've already told you, or 2, I'll address it whenever we have class next. It's not that important. If I reply to you, then it's important. All right? That means that I need to reply to you. But if I don't reply to you, just wait till the next class. And if I don't address it in the class, then that means that I've covered the material. I've covered it and you didn't listen. That's why I record so you can play back. Okay? You take the test on your time, multiple choice and open answer. You can review and print out the test after you've taken it. I'll show you how to do that Thursday. Here is the makeup of your grade. Your unit tests are averaged up, and that is 60% of your grade. 20% is your homework grade, and 20% of your final exam. Now, your final exam and your homework grade is not going to show itself until when? The end of the semester. So what do you do if you want to know what you're making in here? Just take the unit grades, your unit test, add them up, and divide by however many you take it.
So if you want to know how you're doing after the Unit 2 test, you add up your 98 and your 92, divide by 2, and that's what your grade is. Okay? And then at the end of the semester, when you finish your homework and you finish your exam, the computer, and I'll show you this Thursday, it will give you your final grade. It's called a grade book. Okay? Now, after this page, we're going to go and look at the academic calendar. On your tctc.edu, when you go to this page and you type in your username and password, I have my son this week, so we're going to have to finish up at 2:15 and let y'all go. I've already taken roll. This week I have my son. Next week I won't have him, so we're going to stay till 2:30 next week. I'm just kidding. But hit the message center and hit academic calendar right here. Now I want right there. Academic calendar is in the middle of the page. I want everybody to go home and print this out. And I want you to fill up your calendar on your phone or your book, calendar, or whatever with this page. It's spring 2017. Don't ask about 2017. It's a physical year, not a calendar year. It started, well, it did start 2017, but some people see 2016-20 on their information and they get confused. But that's why Tri-County is just confusing. Anyway, there it is, 2017. When's the first day of class for Session A? You are Session A. That's 14 weeks. January 9th, Monday. That's today. Last day to add class. January 10th, last day to drop a class without record. I'm sorry. Last day to add a class, January 11th. Last day to drop a class without record is 13th, which is Friday. Friday the 13th. That's when that movie, Bye-Bye Man, comes on. I want to go see that. You ever seen, oh gosh, what's it called? With that guy in the camera. Oh man, that's wicked. You ever seen that? He's got a white face. He's wearing a suit, and he's in the camera, in the video camera. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but it's scary. Anyway, I'll shut up. Huh? It was on the other night. Anyway, there's some test questions on here too. Here's a test question. When is the last day of class for Section A? April 26th. That is a test question. Test question. When is the exams for Session A? 27th through the 3rd. That is a test question. I'm sorry. Let me zoom it back down. Just remember the last day of class and exams. Session A, there they are right there. Write those down. April 26th and 27th through the 3rd. But when you see my test Thursday, you'll see how I do that. I ask 10 questions on every test. They are the same questions. Okay? Same questions, same answers. And I ask them on every test. So by the end of the semester, you know when the last day of class is, you know when the exams are, and stuff like that. So you don't ask me that last week of class. And it's also an objective that we have to do through our department heads, that we have to somehow prove that y'all are reading the handouts and the syllabus. And some do it as a quiz. I do it as bonus questions on the test. Okay? One of them is, what branch of the service did I serving? That's one. That's one question. Another question is, how do I count the final homework in the unit test? You say 60, 20, 20. Another one is, what is the grade book for on MyLabs Plus? We're going to talk about that Thursday. Keep up with your grades. Just questions like that. If you miss them, the only thing I ask you to do is don't tell anybody you missed them, because they're going to think you're what? Yeah, pretty much. All right. So that's 5 questions I just came up with. I can't think of any. You'll see them Thursday. And I do give you the same questions every test. I've been doing it for 2 years now. Okay, so make sure you write these dates down. Another important date is February 20th to March the 10th. February 20th, what does it say right here? Advising for currently enrolled students for what?
summer and fall. That's called pre-advising week. This is the whole month. It's from the 20th to the 10th. You as students have a whole month to go by and see who? Your advisor, to get your registration unlocked, because on the 10th, what opens up? Registration at what? 8 a.m. And there's going to be some people running around that morning going, I got to go see my advisor. What's your advisor doing? He's in class. And your advisor is not very patient with students on the 10th because you've had a whole month to go by and see them. So you need to write that date down. And you need to print this out and put it in your notebook or your calendar so you'll have it.
I want to say that gave us maybe
Did they?
in the orientation.
All right, now right quick, does anybody have any questions for me?